This computer. All right, guys, we're back here. Haven't done a Voyager Downwind dialogue in a while, but this last month of October, a whole bunch of the Hawaii boys and the Voyager crew, we made our way up to France for some racing. We did a camp in Barcelona in between, and we're just totally exposed to the European downwind vibe and the culture up here, and just saw all the potential. And Hobey was one of the guys that came with us, and he was staying with us throughout the whole trip. He was one of our instructors and killed it during our camp and did well in Saint Tropez and got second in one of the days. And we were just saying, like, bro, we gotta have a podcast and just kind of like debrief and talk about all this kind of stuff. And um, bro, it's been a wild month, and yeah, bro, stoked to have you, and we'll just get right into it, bro. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
absolutely. No, it was definitely a good month. Lots of lessons learned, lots of humbled by
yeah,
Ian. So that
yeah,
was that was awesome. Probably did the most flat water I've ever done in my life up here this month. So,
bro,
but
it's nuts,
all
man.
here for it.
We came off I would say like a pretty successful Hawaiian racing season. I mean, especially for you, because this is your first year. What month did you really get into downwinding, would you say?
I did my first downwind in March,
March.
and then
I think I was on that Hawaii Chiron with you. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
you jumped off the
Jack.
rocks with Jack's board,
Yep.
and like I was kind of like, I wasn't disappointed with Jack, but I was like, bro, like this is just straight neglect. He like just lent you that board. It was super narrow, and like you didn't have a leash. I think you were riding a small wing, and we're like, bruh, this is not how we like send off beginners. Like you like we gotta be more responsible than that. But I think that day too, I was maybe trying out a smaller prototype wing. So even for me, I was like 10, 15, 20 minutes deep into popping up. And then like me and you were like looking at each other, like trying like doing the flop pop up and just coming up
Hmm.
and down. But pretty psycho. I mean, you
Yeah,
made your first run.
made it like 3 hours, but that's okay. And it
Yeah.
yeah, so March for sure was the first one. Pretty successful Hawaii race season. And so this was a whole change of pace for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were some of your like thoughts or feelings? I mean, because like I said, we had a successful racing season, pretty confident. I mean, we're going to a new place in Europe, and even for me, this was my second time in Europe, and I'll say it, bro, straight up, I was rattled, like it's just different. And I was like telling people, it's just, yeah, like it's different. Hawaiian waters, Hawaiian energies, and not to say that France doesn't get big bumps or good bumps, but maybe what they're used to is a lot different than what we're used to, especially in the north up there. I mean, I don't know, hard to say because I
Hmm.
haven't really truly
Hmm.
downwinded good bumps in Brittany yet. Um,
Hmm.
but it
Yeah,
was
I think the cold water for them is kind of this um weird variable that we don't have in Hawaii. And so it's like for them going offshore and doing these like middle of the ocean runs, to me at least felt like they were a little bit hesitant about. Um
right.
they wanted to stay like in and do the bay run. And which I totally respect and totally get because, something happens, stuff always
Right.
happens foiling. Now you have a guy in, it's pretty cold up there,
Yeah.
pretty cold water, and a lot of things can go pretty bad pretty quick. So, yeah, I
It,
think it was just a whole nother experience for us going from like open ocean runs where we don't need much wind and we can have a lot, we have unlimited fetch. We have thousands of miles of
hmm.
fetch, and we can essentially do downwinders with pretty minimal wind. Um, and it's not even like it's considerably better than what we would do there. Like 15 knots of wind there is like we wouldn't even consider going in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah. Bro, it's just so different. I remember last year, that was like the first time I've been like exposed or realized what fetch was. Because last year, like it was blowing 15 to 25, 30 even. And I just couldn't understand how or why the bumps were so junk. And I remember John Mann was explaining to me, so, oh, it's because it's fresh wind, it's coming from the land, and it doesn't have all these but like these are the things when we're in Hawaii, we don't even think about
Hmm.
because like there's no concept of fetch because we have like pretty much thousands of miles of fetch coming from California or Japan. And so it's like it has never been an issue. Like for us, it's so easy. There's no like forecasting going on. Like we just know that 2 weeks out, the wind's gonna be blowing 15 to 20, and you can go every day if you want. And you don't even have to think about it. And like for these guys, they're like mad scientists, like forecasting it and like thinking like, oh, like 12 o'clock is gonna have like pretty good wind, and like we'll have a couple miles of fetch, and it's pretty nuts. Yeah, Jackie boy.
Shout out Jack from Town. Shout out Jack from Town.
um, but it's crazy. And yeah, I remember just being exposed to it and just being so puzzled and why it wasn't working. And then the gear that we use just doesn't work. It's just totally different. Like
Hmm.
it's almost just not good to ride the high aspect, fast, small wings in those conditions because you're just working so much and it's just a completely different feel. What we use back home, and like I was telling a whole bunch of the Frenchmen, it's like, man, like I barely use my 900 Eagle X because it's too big. Like we're trying to
Yeah.
go smaller. And like it would almost be like really impossible to use like the 900. Like on the first day, on day one, like what size wing did you use in Crozon?
I rode the 960. It's the biggest wing I could get my hand on
Yeah.
um at the time. And I mean, I'll be the first to admit I do not ride big wings. I hadn't even ridden the 860. Like the biggest
Yeah.
wing I've ridden was the 770. Um and I'm like a huge fan of the small wings for Hawaii. And so stepping up to riding the 960 in Crozone was just way out of my comfort zone, which was good. But yeah, I mean, it's like,
It's different though, because I remember last year on one of the days I rode the 1090, which I never use in Hawaii. But for some reason I got up on it and I was like, wow, this wing feels like amazing. It feels really good, feels really fast and efficient here in these waters and these bumps and these conditions. And you go back home and you can't ride it. It's too slow, or you can't keep up with the bumps. You end up working harder and it's just entirely different, and and our chatter about this, it's definitely not like a dig at the organization or Amari or the Crozon Festival, because
no way.
those guys put on an amazing event from all the briefings, the logistics, organizing this event, this 3 day event with downwind, dock starting, and the surf foil. It was amazing. It was fascinating. Like when I put on a Voyager race in Hawaii, and it's just a Hawaii Chiron, there's just so much things going on. These guys are like had all the pressure from it's pretty crazy. There's like 100 participants in the race, and so they got a lot of pressure. They got a lot of input coming in, but I don't think anybody or the sentiment was that nobody was like disappointed with the officials or the organization. It's just like a reality of racing, and that's what James was kind of touching
Exactly.
on and stuff. But it's just like I'll say it, I probably we weren't prepared, like I wasn't prepared, but I wouldn't say that this would be the future of downwinding, like or racing, we can get into that too. And that'd be like a juicy, like but constructive, dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the I'll admit too, I was not prepared for that. I was really kind of banking on there being a little bit of something.
Right.
So I mean, I think everyone was. I don't think that was a normal occurrence. And
No,
I
no.
really hope I really hope that's not the future of downwinding because that was not fun. Um, that first race was wild. It was I
So
would
is
rather have it been glassy. It's like
yeah.
it was kind of uneven and we actually did have a little bit of groundswell coming from our right shoulder. And it was just like kind of glassy and soupy and it made it so difficult to get any momentum with your board to get your foil flat watered and pumping because there really weren't any bumps. Um, and so yeah, that first one we just got really unlucky with that rain squall that came through and just shut our wind down. They went and checked on the boats early and we're like, "Yep, it's doable. Let's go. Let's run it." And we would talk to the race organizers and we're like, "Okay, like we're not from here. We don't know your waters. What wing should we ride? Like you like please like give us as much advice as possible." And they're like, "No, you're good. You're good. We just checked it. Like, I promise it's gonna be okay. Just trust it." And it was. And then we got out there and it shut down. And it was
Yeah,
just unfortunate.
yeah.
But you just got to roll with the punches and just keep your mindset. And I was
It,
fortunate enough to finish it. So that
yeah.
was that was yeah.
It was
Yeah.
kind of fun in the sense because we were like I think was it only did the winner one shot it? He did, right?
I
Benoit?
don't,
I don't know.
I
I don't
don't,
even
I'm
know.
not 100% sure, but probably it was, if not, he did it in like two, if he
Yeah.
didn't one shot it, but
It's crazy because that was like the first time that I've been in a race and I wasn't like really worried about racing. I was like, I
hmm
don't even know if I would
hmm
pop up, pump for like 150, 200 yards and just come down completely gassed. And I'd look at people like, and we're all leapfrogging each other. And I was just seeing like, bro, everybody's coming down today. Like
yeah.
it's just like it was almost like an amazing race where like it was like who's gonna outlast each other. Um, but like looking at it now, it was that, but it was also gear selection. And for us
100%.
going back home, it's and you can talk to anybody. That's some of the most stressful part of racing is making sure that you're choosing the right gear and you're on the right gear during the race.
hmm
And
hmm
that's what makes it hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gear selection was definitely everything. And so the guys that, were trained for that, or maybe not necessarily trained for it, but were experienced in those kind of conditions. I know like John Mann, has a lot of that kind of stuff. He was talking to me. He's like, dude, this is kind of what we do, you know, on the regular in the Netherlands. They foil on a lake and they kind of foil that super tight short period stuff. And he loves like that for code the 1300S. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it sits in that tiny stuff all day long, and it's super easy to ride. So yeah, the guys that that were that were versed in that kind of stuff and had the equipment and knew what to ride, um, definitely showed up, and it was noticeable. And then I think to touch on that too, it's a little hard to travel with like 10 different wings. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but like
Yeah.
travel with
A
gear
quiver. Yeah.
for every single condition because we have, I don't know, we're coming up for so long. I've already been here for a month and we got another 2 months up here. But to travel with surfboards and prone boards and downwind boards and all your foils and
Paddles.
different
Yeah.
masts and
Yeah.
paddles, like it's a lot. And so you kind of have to just like hope that conditions are
Yeah.
gonna show up and and take what you know best and what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and
Yeah.
we got unlucky, but
That
lesson
was
learned. And
that was kind of my strategy coming up here. I'm like, when I was packing, I was like, okay, I'm going to bring the 900 if it's small, and I'm going to bring the 800 momentum prototype wing if it's nuking. And like, I purposely only brought up two wings to kind of like settle the mind for like having all the choices. But
yeah,
then like
yeah,
it worked against me and backfired because we needed all the choices for the conditions and stuff. But actually day
absolutely.
day two of the downwind race, it was actually pretty decent. It was just, I think a lot of people were still undergunned. And like you said, it's just so different the way that we downwind in Hawaii and the way that we downwind here in these like short fetch bay runs and stuff.
hmm
Um, I was just in I'm in Switzerland now, and I just did a downwind run with these guys in Switzerland. They got a pretty sick setup. Ride train, get to your starting point, you pop up in small bump, and it's kind of like same thing where it's all close together. But I was actually honestly having a hard time transitioning because I was popping up fine, but then I would like go into like the Hawaii mode where I'm just kind of like chasing and hopping bumps up and over and waiting for that one so I can get high mass and rest. And I was just burning myself out. And then it wasn't until like you just fully just downshift and you just like don't do anything and you just glide super slow. That's when you can find that rhythm. But it was a gnarly
Hmm.
adjustment for me, you know.
Hmm.
And it was like embarrassing because like I go out with these Swiss guys, you know, and like they're kind of new to the sport, and they're like, "Bah, we're gonna go downwind with a Hawaiian, like in our time." And bro, I was floundering out there, and it was so embarrassing. I was like finding different mass placements, trying to blame the gear and stuff, but it's just different, bro. And like I said, and we've been meditating on it. It's like playing football and soccer, you know, like they're two very similar games that are played on grass with balls, but two entirely different sports or approaches, you know, kind of crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Yeah. The at least for me, and I think for a lot of us, kind of like our first time racing in these conditions, um, was definitely like way out of the box, and so a huge learning experience. And that like home court advantage, like when
yeah.
these guys come to Hawaii, like I can't imagine what they are going through, dealing with. If
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
proper pumping in Hawaii, like we still have a really hard time holding our foils down and
Yeah.
navigating those like huge groundswells. And so for these guys to go from like these tiny little wind bumps riding giant foils to like expecting to have to ride like a 770 or a 680 or smaller, and
Yeah.
just maxing out and averaging 20 miles an hour. It's like the home court advantage is definitely huge. And so just traveling and riding different waters has been really fun. Um, we
That's
went
and
to
that
Barcelona,
that's the way we
so
all
that
improve
was
too, you know. It's
absolutely,
just
yeah,
just experiencing all kinds of stuff. But what would you say the communities like up there in Crozon or in France or just by the European like there's so
yeah,
much talent, there's so much stoke, and like
huge,
it,
huge,
it's
so
it's a
much
great
talent.
community, you know.
Yeah, really good vibe. Crozon is super cool. That little town is
Yeah.
awesome. We just ate crepes till we couldn't eat crepes, and um, getting around and just that whole event was really good. Everything was really close, very well organized, very clear. They had a WhatsApp group chat, and everything, all the meeting times, all the briefings were all posted in there, well ahead of time. And yeah, I think the conditions made it a little hard for us. It kind of pushed everything longer.
Hmm.
Um, so just trying to like balance eating and getting home and regrouped from the meetings and then getting back to briefings, I think
Hmm.
was probably our biggest challenge. Um, but other than that, yeah, everything's like right there in the town and you can essentially walk everywhere.
Yeah.
So from that
Yeah.
standpoint, yeah, it was awesome.
It was cool to just go with all the boys too, and then just kind of connect in person with all these people that we interact with on social media and Instagram or whatever platform we use.
Hmm.
And you come to find out like, bro, these guys are super cool. Like, like that
Hmm.
guy Gio from Puerto Rico, like, or John or all these guys, Tom, and all these guys, Thomas Goyard, and bro, like all these guys are super cool. And I think that's unique to downwind foiling and foiling in general. It's just there's a lot of good humans in the sport, and it's to me that's fascinating. But um, always fun to go with the boys for sure too. You know,
Yeah, it's definitely the best community that I've been in
yeah,
as regards to
yeah.
sports for surfing or paddling or sailing or whatever it's been. The downwind community is so positive and always so like helpful. Everybody's wanting to help you if you have an issue, if you have a problem. It's like, what can I give you? Like the first race, I I uh I borrowed a fuse from a guy. Never met him in my life. I just saw he was riding code. I was like, hey, like, do you have an extra fuse? He's like, yeah, no problem. I got you. I'll just get back from you after the race. And so just that kind of stuff is awesome. Um,
Yeah, it's crazy. If you
yeah,
if you show up to a paddling race and you forget your paddle or something, they're like, bro, good luck. Like it's kind of a little bit more
yeah,
cutthroat, or like, bro, like guys will get into fights if something happens, if they bang boats or put, you know what I mean?
hmm
It's yeah, like you said, it's such a positive community, and hopefully it can stay like that for a long time. But it's awesome. And then yeah, after we wrapped up Crozon, boom, we had a but no, that was Barcelona back. But yeah, we ventured our way down to Barcelona, and that was super fun meeting Albert and Sejo. He's based out of Barcelona, and he was kind of like our local expert, and kind of ironed out so much cool thing. What was it like for you, being thrusted into like a teaching or instructor's position? What did you think of? What were your expectations going in, and what did you learn, and what did you vibe with, and what was cool about being around? What were some of your biggest takeaways from camp?
hmm I thought that Barcelona camp was awesome. I thought the whole group by our last day, it was like family.
Yeah,
Everybody was so cool and so passionate and just like so stoked on being there and getting to foil with us and just like being a sponge and just absorbing knowledge. So that was just super fun to experience. We didn't get super lucky with conditions in Barcelona either. We actually had a pretty rough time with conditions, but we made do. And I think actually for the time given, it was super beneficial and super effective.
hmm
That first day of kind of just like seeing where everybody was at, half day, hop in the water, just get on the board, and then second day of really pushing out into a pretty varsity downwind.
yeah, yeah,
Pretty varsity. We had kind of opposing directions. We had a ground swell moving straight in and wind moving almost straight out, not quite, but pretty
just
close to
full
it.
crossing, yeah,
Full
just
cross.
yeah,
And so pretty big period with the ground swell, and then super short period with that small chop, kind of like Crozon. So it was definitely tricky. And man, the guy Josu got up instantly. Like we
first
were still
shot,
coming out on the boats. Those guys are out there and we see him popping up already, just having
yeah,
fun. And so he was definitely like his gear was dialed. And so it was awesome to see him just kill it. And then yeah, a couple of the other guys getting up in that stuff was really impressive because I watched you. I mean,
bro,
it
yeah,
took us like kind of everything, all of our reading abilities to be able to get up in that stuff. Um, I was on a 680, so it was a little bit tricky, but um, yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy conditions, so that was super fun. And then our last day was just dead glass flat water, and that was almost our most beneficial day after going out there and getting that balance, getting to experience the downwind. I don't necessarily think a whole nother day of downwind right after that would have been beneficial. It was good to kind of come back, regroup, um, and go over that paddle technique again. And
yeah,
we had like three or four guys flat water
just breaking through, yeah,
in the harbor, and it was awesome. And they were like so stoked, and really being able to like take what they had learned from the past 2 days and apply it. Just yeah, saw some light bulbs go off, so that was awesome.
yeah. To me, that's the most exciting part is, and we put on a few camps now. And yeah, usually like day one, it's kind of like assessment, seeing where everyone is, and then boom, the next one you're like, okay, let's go, let's shock the system. And then after you shock the system, it's coming back and seeing, like if they make improvements, and a lot of these guys did. And yeah, like you said, that's way more beneficial for their confidence, and just for their momentum going forward. And that's kind of always been my vision with it. It's, because we know like there's no shortcut. There's no secret sauce in downwinding. It just takes time. It takes a lot of water time. But the all the nuggets that we're able to just share with them about technique, gear, approach, attack, and all that stuff, they'll be exposed to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna just be like, crossing the marathon finish line. But as long as they're equipped and they pack in some nuggets and go home and kind of readdress it back home and just continue the journey there, that's to me like that's like the more efficient road that everyone should go. Yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, it's there's no fast track and there's no shortcut, and
No.
it's
Yeah.
that's the reality.
Yeah. We're definitely not making pros out of these guys in 3 days,
Yeah.
but we are definitely breaking bad habits and allowing that learning curve to to flatten out a little bit and
Mhm.
for them
Mhm.
to get going. There's one this guy Jorge, and he was actually a good stand-up guy. He was a stand-up paddle instructor. He teaches people how to stand-up paddle,
Wow.
and he did a lot of stand-up surfing. But he was carrying his stand-up surfing technique and everything with him, and we just kind of had a chat while we were out there, and we're like, okay, forget everything. We're starting from
Scratch.
scratch, and and for him that was like he was like, whoa, like if we didn't do this, I would have never figured it out. His hands were wide. He was like really trying to pull hard, muscle it, not too much
Mhm.
technique, and just digging really hard. And we kind of stepped back and like mellowed out a little bit and went more about cadence and technique, and he was really figuring it out. So that was awesome to see stuff like that. Just breaking bad habits, I think was one of the biggest
Mhm.
things, like with their pumping and where their feet go and the timing of the super small basic stuff is what really made a difference that weekend.
Right, right. I think one of my favorite nights was the last night when we barbecued, and then we had like a full round table, like just kind of like share your story moments. And to me, that's cool because yeah, like for us, we're just seeing like all these guys and how we can help them. But then it's cool to hear their origin stories and their unique stories and just kind of feel connected in that way. And I remember one guy's story, I think it was Mike, and it was pretty epic because he was saying like, man, like, bro, I'm in Germany, I'm by myself. I put on a full suit, it's cold, and I get in the water and there's nobody there. And like
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of reflecting on that, like, damn, man, that takes so much commitment.
So
Like
much commitment.
I don't know if I lived in Germany, like I don't know what would spark me to be like, I want a downwind foil. Like I don't know, maybe I would take up soccer or something else. Like we have it easy in Hawaii because waves are good, wind is good, water's warm, water's blue. And there's like a thriving community to plug into. But
Mm-hmm.
to hear that guy's story and just how cool it was, and then just for him, he was saying this is his first time that he was like around so many foilers at once. And to me, like that was like such a cool reflection for me and kind of like what makes like the whole Voyager thing special. And like sometimes we take it for granted and um, we don't realize like how cool it is that we have such a rocking crew where, every day, sometime during the day you can jump in a shuttle with any of the boys. And it's like I remember Adam saying this. It's not like you ever pull up to Downwind and be like, frick, freaking John's here. I don't want Downwind. Like everyone's like super cool and like, what I mean? You
Yeah.
look forward to like,
Yeah.
it's never a bad vibe or
Yeah.
it's never a bad time. It's like it's cool, like and the whole crew vibe is cool with what we got on Oahu, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And logistically, I think we have the easiest. downwind setup ever. Um, Easy parking.
Yeah.
Everybody just meets right there, and like one road all the way up to the top,
Yeah.
10 minutes, unload,
Jump off,
jump
and
off
your
the
wind
wall.
line's right there.
Wind line is right there. It's a two
Yeah.
minute paddle into like firing run,
Yeah. Yeah.
8 miles of just glory, and then unload, quick hose off right there, and you're gone. Like to bring Geo back up, that guy does solo runs in Puerto Rico,
Bruh,
and he
right?
and he Ubers, he catches an Uber because there's no one that does them there,
Yeah.
or there's very few people at least, and so yeah, he parks his car and he catches an Uber all the way up to the top, unloads. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Like I give these guys, like you're saying, so much credit
Yeah.
for pushing as hard as they do because like I don't know, I don't think I'd ever catch an Uber in Hawaii to go downwind.
No,
I,
no.
I don't think I'd do it. So yeah,
Oh,
like you're saying, just
it's
hats off to
crazy.
these guys.
It's crazy too, because like, yeah, like you said, we have the logistics so easy that like, like there were moments when I was like, mapping out with Albert during the camp, like just my mind is melting because I just can't like process like the logistics, because it's like we don't exercise that part of our brain or like use it so much when we're downwinding in Hawaii. It's so easy. But speaking of logistics, bro, like I'm in Switzerland right now, bro. How easy is this? These guys park and then they walk like maybe a minute or two to the train station. They jump on the train station, go basically like 15 Ks down a lake, and the lake is super linear. So they park at the finish, jump on a train,
Mm-hmm.
go all the way to the starting point, jump off, maybe like a 3 to 5 minute walk to the water, slam their run, and then their car's there. Like I was telling these guys here in Switzerland, like, bro, you guys have an amazing like voyaging environment. Like it should be thriving in the next couple of years. You guys got good quality bumps, epic scenery and landscape, and like the logistics is crazy. Like these guys, they have their like train passes, so they're just basically. I mean, it's still paying a little bit to transport, but dude, this is like
Pretty minor.
it would be
Yeah,
like a ski lift. Let's go like you go and you slam the slopes and then boom, you take a lift ride back up. It's pretty crazy. You know,
yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
you guys got to try it for
And they
sure.
can just stay built. Yeah, they don't have
Stay
to
built,
unrig.
yeah. They
Easy.
they they stay built. They walk onto the trains and fully in their wetsuits. It's pretty wild, But it's bro, like they can slam out so many runs, because that's the thing. Like when we're showing cars, like it's like a 2.5 hour tour for a 30-minute run, you know?
Easy,
Yeah.
easy. It can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you got 15 guys doing it, yeah, it's an ordeal for sure.
Yeah. And then, bro, speaking about logistics, bro, let's go into San Tropez and Fred because that guy's a wizard for putting on races. And bro, the med was medicine for us after
Med
Crozon.
was
Like
mental.
med was medicine and mental
Yeah,
medicine, bro.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So that was, I mean,
bro, go into our escapade and how crazy that was getting to San Tropez.
it was ridiculous. We just that day just didn't cooperate with us at all. Just anything that could have gone wrong kind of went
so
wrong that
so
day.
I'll tell my side and then we'll go into that, bro. So we're driving back to camp. Last day is Thursday. We slam a half day. Boom. We drop everybody off at their apartments and their hotels, and then we head over to the airport. And it was we had enough time. Our flight was at like 8 p.m., but like it was kind of cutting it tight. But
Flight was at
anyway,
9.
nine. No, no, it
Yeah.
was it was scheduled for
8.
7:55.
Oh yeah, yeah. 7:55. You're right. You're
But
right.
like, we left Costa Brava at like 2. So like, we got choke time. But anyways, it turned out to be like a tight push to get there just because we had to like run around Barcelona the traffic. And then I'm there pretty early. I'm there like 2 hours before, but for some reason, whether it's Google Maps, Apple Maps, or just my terrible map reading skills and navigating, bro, I cannot find. It takes me more than 2 hours to find the car rental return for this van. Bro, luckily Hobie pulls through and he finds it, and I just follow his location. Um, and we get to the airport, and it's like 7 o'clock, and our flight's at 7:55, and we're like running, trying to get our boards onto the flight and make it so we can get to Saint Tropez. And it was a scramble, and
Yeah,
then
in the wrong terminal, had to catch
wrong
a
turn,
bus to the other
bro.
terminal,
And
10
then
minute
and
bus. We're
then
like, oh
we're all
shit.
busting out, our passports, and Kavika's like, oh crud. We're like, bro, like we like bail on him because like bro, like we're not gonna let him like pull us down. Like we gotta go to Saint Tropez and like, bro, good luck, Kavika. But he ends up at the counter, he found his passport, and we
Finds it.
barely get, bro. The guy at the ticket counter said we got on within minutes of our boards making the flight. Boom, we jam over to the gate, and there's like a gnarly like rain delay. And so we hurried up for nothing. Hurry up to wait.
Huge storm in Saint Tropez. We did like 3 laps around the airport. It was pretty mental. Sat at our gate for like an hour. They changed gates on us. Sat at that gate for another hour. Boarded us. Sat on the plane for an hour. It was like, whoa.
Then
Missed our landing.
we finally get yeah, we missed our landing. We finally get into Nice, and it's like 12 a.m. and we're just like just looking at each other like, bro, if we would have drove from Barcelona to Nice, it would have been 5 hours. And it took us like 8 hours or something crazy for like an hour and a half
Mm-hmm.
flight. It was gnarly.
Just to get to the airport
Yeah.
in Nice.
Yeah. And then we got
And
to
then
drive another hour and a half. Oh, this is gnarly. This is even gnarlier. So we get to the airport, and it's 12:30. We don't even know if car rentals are open. We scramble over there with all our gear. There's like one guy left. And then like we're like, the only car he has left is like a Beamer, which is like $500 for like 2 days or something. And we're like trying to negotiate and come down. Anyways, we finally get the we finally get the vehicle. We load up, and my phone's almost dead. Hobie's not sure if he has cellular network data. But anyways, we just plot our course. Kavika's driving because he rented out the vehicle. And bro, we're all so katsu. And Hobie passes out, I pass out. And like Kavika's jamming. There's like a new Coldplay album that's out, and he's just jamming. And it was gnarly rain, so it was kind of like, we didn't know. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And we're like, okay, we'll get to the accommodation. Fred's a legend. He set up accommodation for us. We'll get there at like 2:30 a.m., crash and race. There was a race at like 10 a.m. the next day,
mm-hmm,
you know.
mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay, like pretty minimal. We'll get there. Like we should be able to pull it off. And then yeah, go ahead, Toby. Share your side.
Yeah. Basically, Sim and I crash. Wake up like hour and a half later. When we went to bed, we had like 50 minutes left to Saint Tropez. We're like, okay, shoots easy. Show up, knock out. Wake up, look at the maps. Olga says two hours. I think I sat there in shock for about 20-30 seconds, kind of trying to
Process it. I saw
like
you,
just
bro.
just waking up. It's like what?
What's
It's two in
going
the morning
on?
now,
Yeah.
and 2:30 in the morning, and I like couldn't my brain couldn't process that we had gotten farther away in an
What
hour.
what's gnarly too is like it was like a one or like 2 lane highway, and there were no exits. So what had happened is we had missed our exits to San Tropez. So what was going to be in an hour and a half traverse to where our destination, we had passed the exit. We were committed, and we were an hour past it. So now our hour and a half trip turned into a 4.5 hour trip. It was so funny
Couldn't
because
process.
like I remember waking up same time as you, and you were like just kind of like staring at the screen, and you're like just processing it. And then there were like the two blue lines, right? Like one going in the direction and another one coming back. And I could just see you like processing, like, wait, what does that mean? Like we missed our exit. And then, bro, I just started hysterically laughing. And, bro, we just busted out into laughter for like 5 minutes straight. Me, you, and
So
Gabe.
funny.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, like we couldn't even be mad at it or pissed at it. It
Bro.
was just like beyond that. It was just like just funny at that point.
The whole
It was
day,
just
bro.
hilarious.
All the bowling pins that were just knocking down.
Yeah, just nothing went our way. And then we spent the next hour and a half on the windiest
Bro. Yeah.
switchback mountain road ever.
Yeah.
Veeks hammered it out. He was an absolute champion that night. Absolute champion.
Yeah.
Um,
And we limp in
Hammered it out and got us there at what, like, I think we went to bed at like 5 in the morning.
5 in the
Had like a
morning.
3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, 3 hours of sleep. It was so funny because I saw Fred that next morning. Like the our story was like spreading like wildfire, and everyone was just like laughing. Like not laughing at us or just laughing. They were like laughing for us because it was kind of like gnarly and hilarious. Like, you know, it was funny. But yeah, we had a great breakfast. We slept for like a few hours, basically took a cat nap. Um, showed up at the beautiful venue at that little yacht club in San Tropez,
Jeez.
loaded up onto like four Zodiacs, just pounded upwind. And like, dude, I just remember pounding upwind and just like frothing and drooling, looking at all the bumps compared to like what we had, just like,
It was the
"Rah!"
most wind I'd seen in a month. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was.
psyched. I was pumped,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
And then I was
It
like,
looked like
kind of
Hawaii.
it definitely looked like Hawaii. And then, like, bro, it was like Hawaii. The energy, the bumps and
Yeah,
everything, it was nuts.
it
It
was better.
was
It was
it
actually
was
better.
it
It was better
was
than Hawaii. It was those bumps there. Just it's weird in Hawaii. They're so deep
yeah,
that when it's kind of hard to pump down them because
yeah,
you run in the back of them.
yeah,
But in the med, you can pump down them and it just opens up into the next one.
yeah,
And it took me about half the race to kind of figure that out on the first race because I was doing like a Hawaii style downwind where I would like get to the top and kind of like stop pumping and rest for a sec and wait for it to develop. And then I started pumping down these things and you can just pump the whole time if you want. You can pump
slingshot. Yeah.
down and connect into the next one every single time. It's crazy and they're super steep on the top side and then there's just the craziest long runway in front and you can just maintain that high speed on the very top of your mast and go. It's super fun.
Bro, it was an insane race, like logistically. Yeah, we
Mind blowing.
we set up a board in like this cove, flat water that was like sheltered by an island. We go into the wind line for the bumps. We start in the bumps and good quality bumps. I think, like I had an issue, you had an issue. My board was all waterlogged, gnarly from Crozon.
Yeah.
Um, and I was using a smaller wing, so it took a little bit to get up. But once I was up, bro, it was epic. And then for you, it was just using a different board and just you got to dial it in and just
Mm-hmm.
like the mass placements on different boards and different foils are significant. But
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
Just using what we had access to. I was using
Yeah,
Jack's 7.2.
yeah.
Um, and it was doable, but for a race situation, it wasn't the fastest to get up. And yeah, I think we both sat there for about 3 minutes at the start, trying to trying to
But
muscle our way up.
what's so cool is like I feel like once we got up, it felt so comfortable, it felt like home. It felt like a pattern that we've seen before. It felt like, it was nice to be in bumps and energy again. And like, it was so fun just because, like, for me, like, I like just mowed down. And then I got to the finish line. I'm like, oh, there's Tom, Kai, and like Thomas Goyard. I'm like, where's everybody else? I was like, I had no, like, I thought I was going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
like 10th or 15th place just because I was minutes behind on the start. But like, I was like, oh, sick, like, bro, that was an unreal run. And then for you, like, you must have mowed down choke guys too. you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely happy. Once I was up, I was happy with my performance, and
Yeah.
um, I didn't track it, but it felt pretty fast. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
felt good, and
Felt
and
to me, it felt like a North Shore run with like a little bit of like 80s flavor to it, a little bit of that backwash, that deep
mhm.
water energy and
Definitely
fast
towards the
moving.
end, there's some backwash along those cliffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, bro, like, top to bottom, it was such a great event for, like Fred and was it the LAST?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? Last, it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, LAST is like basically a Saint Tropez like sailing club or facility. The venue was so sick. It was on the water. We could stash all our gear there. Had our race meetings and briefings there. We were hanging out there, eating dinner, having beers and stuff there. It was so cool. And I remember talking to Fred, and he's a foiler, right? And his phrase that really like lit up the light bulb in my head is like, hey man, like I want to make sure that when we race, we're actually racing the foils that we use. Because like, like we
Hmm.
were we were just in Crozon and we were racing and like we're down to race, but now it's like we're in unfamiliar territory because we're racing in conditions that we don't normally race in, but we're also racing on foils that we never use. So he was like, to me, like what I was getting from Fred was like, like all of us are comfortable and talented in our own individual ways on the gear that we use, like the wing that we use all the time. And I want to see that. And I want to make sure that our race course or the race conditions allow for that. And everybody is able to like perform you
Yeah.
know,
He
their
wants
best.
to see us use the foil that we would use in the middle of the run
Yeah.
for the whole thing. He
Yeah.
doesn't want us to choose a foil based on the beginning of the start.
Right.
So that was awesome. Yeah, Fred was it was really cool seeing someone that put out an event that was so racer forward. I've never been a part of an event that was like 100% what the racers want to do.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's always like it's a little tricky in the US because there's so much liability and there's so much safety, and we have to understand that they have to create guidelines, and it's like,
Mhm.
sorry, this is kind of how it's got to be. Up here there's none of that, and he's like, dude, we can do whatever you guys want. He's like, I don't care as long as you guys are like think this
Happy.
is the good call and you're happy doing it, and you're having fun. And he's like, we're flexible and we can do whatever. He's like, let's just look at the conditions, and we're gonna make it work. He's like, we'll get it done. So that was just refreshing. And
A future
yeah, shout out to
downwinding.
yeah. I mean, if whew, it I think James touched on this too. I don't think it can be the future for everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
we can find spots like this and really perpetuate foiling in these areas, um, where it's possible to do this, I this sport has a really good chance of doing well. And yeah, just huge shout out to Fred. That was impressive. I think everyone there was just blown away, absolutely mind blown at how well you did there. So if you're
Yeah.
listening to this, hopefully you are. Um, dude, just yeah, thank you. We're all just still
Grateful for that. Yeah.
jonesing
Buzzing. Yeah.
on that weekend. That was amazing.
Yeah. It's for me like the experience that we just all went through and how epic that was. 2 days of downwind. Even the second day, even it was smaller, it was still very downwindable and had lots of trough and energy. But like for
Hmm.
me, like I see this race as like, okay, this has got to be a staple on the downwind race calendar for sure. Like you got to go to Central Pay.
100%.
Like I'm
Got it.
gonna,
I would put that at the top of my list. Like if you're gonna miss any race, don't miss that one. Don't miss
yeah,
Saint Tropez.
yeah. It was sick, like yeah, I'm gonna go back home and be like, bro, like to all the boys, like, bro, you guys gotta come next year. Like, you guys went all the way
Hmm.
to Chris,
Hmm.
Chris, and it was cool and it was amazing to be a part of. But like, bro, you guys missed the big cake that we all just ate. Like up there we ate humble pie, and then boom, we came back and we ate cake. It was epic, bro. And I know that for sure a lot of guys will adjust and try to make some time for that. But I think a lot of guys will be stoked. And I
Yeah,
could just see that race just blowing up. And just even the Med, that was my first time in the Med. And other than Barcelona and just being the south of France, and I was able to explore a little bit later with my family. And bro, that coastline is amazing. Like every little like coastal town like starts to look like Italy. Food's good, food's cheap. It's funny,
it's so good.
like I'm losing weight because like the quality of food is so good here, you know.
Hmm.
I eat pretty healthy back home too, you know, like I just but it's funny, like the quality of the ingredients here is just so much better that I'm like, like trimming and I'm tripping out, you know.
Yeah,
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 epic.
yeah. So for anyone that's thinking, if you want to do any downwind race,
Saint-Tropez for
Saint
sure.
Tropez, it's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah. So, bro,
It's amazing.
before we sign off, bro, what are you guys up to now, and like, what's your guys' plans? Like, just ramble
Yeah,
through it.
yeah. We Jack and I are in Hossier for the week. We're out of here on Wednesday. We're hoping to drive down to Portugal, spend one day in Spain with his friend, and go surf and foil over in Spain for a day, and then continue down to Portugal, spend a week down in Portugal, and then drive back up. So little road trip action, and we got some good waves a couple days ago up here.
Nice.
Today and yesterday were kind of late days, kind of good weather yesterday, bad weather today, kind of funky looking tomorrow, but then Sunday through the rest of this week looks like it's going to be really good and some good waves coming. So
Nice.
hopefully we get some more good waves coming. Score
Some good
some more
traveling, yeah.
Husker beach break barrels, yeah.
And then
And then
not to think too far ahead, but like, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to, like in the foil off season? I mean, it's weird because like I don't feel like it's been such a lifestyle change that I don't see it as like as in season and off season. Like, like when we were
mhm,
paddling, we couldn't wait. I couldn't wait till off season and just
to rest,
to
yeah,
surf and cruise and rest and fish and dive. But like, like downwinding is still so new that I'd be like, if it's blowing, I'm like, "Ah, I go,
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I honestly can't wait to get home. I
yeah,
forget what like downwinding and Hoy is
yeah,
like. Jack and I have been traveling since like early September,
yeah.
so it's coming up on November here in a few days, and so
Sick.
um we had one day of downwind on our trip so far down
Yeah,
in Saint Tropez. So
yeah,
that was a blessing. But yeah, just to take what we learned here and maybe push harder on some of our flat days,
mhm.
and maybe try rally the boys and get some more flat water practice and get some more light wind training, because like as James is touching, like we're not always going to be in Hawaii, and we're not always blessed with, you know, 90% of the time we have a 25 knot trade wind.
Right, right.
So we're going to be in these places that can be fickle and can be light and don't have thousands of mile of fetch. And so, we got to be prepared for that. And it is part of the sport, and it's part of racing, and it's part of traveling and doing races in different areas. So definitely gonna be doing more of that. Get
Yeah,
some. I gotta order some big wings.
yeah, yeah.
I don't even own any right now, but
It,
yeah,
it's
just stoked for that.
it's crazy when I think about it too, because it's like, there's different cycles in foiling and just I don't know if the seasons, but there's cycles when you get so motivated and then you fall out of your motivation and you just want to have fun. And then you boom, like we're cranking turns or we're like going fast or cruising. But then like there comes a time when maybe like your fun starts like slowing down
Hmm.
and then you start getting hungry for motivation again and like how can I improve and get better. And
Hmm.
yeah, just like you said, like man, I'm excited to go back home, and just continue to grow and improve, um, and get better, and but still have fun, and then just take that all into next year for all the Hawaii races and the European races, and just continue to see where this takes us. That to me, that's what's
Yeah.
exciting. We're still scratching the
Yeah.
surface of all of this.
Oh, yeah, hugely so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that was our like first good Euro tour, so
yeah, yeah,
there's only more to come.
yeah. Bro, pretty wild to think about it. And like last year, like we're all tripping that Edo signed up for the Molokai race, and he started in March. We're like, bro, there's no way bro, you can't do Molokai, bro. You don't even know how to SUP. And then like this year, like it was you, bro. Like, like you started in March, you're able to slam through the whole progression and do super well in all the triple crown races in Hawaii and even in Europe. And it's cool, man. Like we got a lot of growth up ahead and a lot of things to look forward to, and it's exciting, bro.
Yeah, super stoked, and all the foils are getting so good. We had a lot of opportunities to try a bunch of people's different
Yeah.
foils. Constantly trading boards in Saint Tropez. We had a little flat water race event day, and I think everybody hopped on everybody's board and foil setup, and
Even in
it
camp,
was
like that was one of my
yeah,
favorite days is when we're flat watering and everyone's just exchanging boards, and you're
yeah,
getting all those feels and sensations, and your mind is trying to process it all. And it's to me, that's what's fun, is just feeling everything new and learning, constantly learning, you know,
constantly.
constant, bro. Right on, man. Well, hey, thanks for the chat. Enjoy the rest of your time with Jackie Boy. Make sure he does the dishes and does all the stuff. And
Yeah, yeah. Sim says do the dishes, bro.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I hope you guys score some waves. Travel safely, travel lightly, and I can't wait to downwind back home, bro. So,
Yeah.
right.
Jack said to make sure he cooked a 5-star meal tonight and did all the dishes.
If
Yeah, he's Jacqueline tonight,
I know,
so
I know he is,
that's
because
great.
bro, his dad is a sneaky chef. He cooked for us on Molokai one year, and it was 5-star meal. Uncle Kiai, bro. Yeah. Right on, bro. Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your time, and we'll see you back home. We'll sign off now. Shoot.
Right on. Shoot.
Okay, right on.